The origin story. Childhood patterns that predict relationship behavior. The relationship she had with her father might tell you more about your future together than your first 10 dates combined. I met Alex at a friend's party, and she seemed perfect. Smart, funny, and we had great chemistry. But something felt off every time she talked about her dad. She'd tense up, change the subject, or make cutting remarks about how all men are the same. The air would grow heavy, her shoulders would tighten, and her eyes would lose their warmth. 6 months into dating, her behavior toward me started mirroring exactly how she described her father: distant, suspicious, and expecting disappointment. Our relationship became a replay of her childhood wounds that I didn't create but was expected to heal. Childhood experiences create the templates we use for adult relationships. These early patterns become the invisible blueprint for how we connect with others. Like architectural plans, determine the foundation, support beams, and layout of a building. Our early relationships determine our capacity for trust, vulnerability, and conflict resolution. A child's relationship with their parents is their first experience of love, trust, and security. These experiences create expectations about how relationships work. Are people reliable? Is love conditional? Do conflicts lead to abandonment? The answers get programmed into our minds long before we start dating. A healthy childhood foundation includes parents who were consistently present, emotionally responsive, and set appropriate boundaries. Children from these homes learn that they're worthy of love, that their needs matter, and that relationships can be safe and supportive. They develop what psychologists call secure attachment, the ability to form close bonds while maintaining a healthy sense of self. When dating someone with secure attachment, you'll notice they can express needs clearly, handle conflicts without extreme reactions, and aren't constantly worried about abandonment. The contrast appears when someone grew up with inconsistent care, emotional neglect, or chaotic family dynamics. These experiences create insecure attachment patterns that show up predictably in adult relationships. The woman who texts you constantly and becomes anxious when you don't respond might have had parents who were inconsistently available. Her nervous system learned to stay on high alert for signs of abandonment. The woman who keeps you at arm's length and struggles with vulnerability might have had parents who rejected emotional expression. She learned that getting too close means getting hurt. Attachment theory helps us understand these patterns. There are 3 main types of insecure attachment: anxious, avoidant, and disorganized. Someone with anxious attachment fears abandonment and seeks constant reassurance. In relationships, this might look like jealousy, clinginess, or emotional intensity. Someone with avoidant attachment fears getting too close and values independence above connection. This might show up as emotional distance, difficulty committing, or pulling away when things get serious. Disorganized attachment combines both patterns, creating a confusing push-pull dynamic where someone craves closeness but also fears it. Specific childhood experiences create recognizable relationship patterns. A woman whose father criticized her appearance might become excessively focused on how she looks and seek constant validation. A woman with an emotionally unavailable father might either chase emotionally unavailable men or distrust genuine interest. A woman who witnessed domestic violence might have normalized chaos in relationships, finding stable connections boring by comparison. The father-daughter relationship often becomes the blueprint for how she relates to men. If her father was kind, consistent, and supportive, she likely developed healthy expectations about how men should treat her. If he was absent, critical, or unreliable, she may have developed coping mechanisms that now interfere with romantic connections. Many overcome difficult childhoods through awareness and effort, but these early experiences create powerful templates. You can learn about someone's family background through open-ended questions like, what was growing up in your family like? Or who are you closest to in your family? Listen to what she says and how she says it. Does she speak about family members with respect despite difficulties? Can she recognize both strengths and weaknesses in her parents? Or does she idealize them unrealistically, or seem stuck in resentment? Warning signs appear in how she describes her relationships with parents and siblings. If she describes her father as perfect, she might have unrealistic expectations of men. If she speaks about him with unresolved anger, those feelings might eventually transfer to you. If she dismisses the importance of family relationships, she may lack self-awareness about her patterns. Notice if she takes responsibility for her part in family conflicts or exclusively blames others. Another red flag is when she describes dramatically different relationships with her mother versus her father. A woman who idealizes one parent while demonizing the other might categorize you as either all good or all bad too. This black and white thinking makes it difficult to work through normal relationship challenges. Certain childhood patterns strongly predict relationship issues. Boundary violations in childhood often lead to either poor or rigid boundaries in adulthood. Emotional neglect can create difficulty identifying and expressing feelings. Witnessing unhealthy conflict resolution provides no model for working through disagreements. Growing up with family addiction or mental illness can normalize chaos or create a rescuer mentality. Understanding her relationship with her father provides insight into how she might relate to you. If she felt secure and valued by him, she likely approaches romantic relationships with healthy expectations. If that relationship involved disappointment or abandonment, she might unconsciously recreate those dynamics. A woman who received consistent love and appropriate boundaries learned what healthy male attention feels like. A woman whose father was critical might accept similar treatment from partners because it feels familiar. This understanding doesn't guarantee certainty about her future behavior, but provides important context. If she shows awareness of how her family shaped her and has worked to develop healthier patterns, that's promising. If she remains unaware or defensive about family influences, the patterns are more likely to repeat. Looking at her dating history reveals whether she's breaking free from these patterns or continuing them. The way she selects partners and navigates relationships offers a window into her readiness for something different. Her choices today might be building a new foundation or reinforcing old wounds. The selection cycle, repeatedly choosing the wrong partners. If she consistently dates jerks but claims to want something different, is she being honest with you or with herself? I once had a friend named Jessica who complained about the same type of guy every few months. He seemed so different at first, she'd say, detailing another relationship with a man who was emotionally unavailable, inconsiderate, or uncommitted. Yet when a kind, stable man showed interest in her, she'd find reasons why he wasn't exciting enough. After the 5th version of this story, I realized Jessica didn't actually want what she claimed to want. This pattern appears frequently in dating. Women who say they want committed, respectful relationships, but consistently choose partners who can't or won't provide that. They express frustration about their bad luck in love, while unconsciously selecting the same type of problematic partner over and over. It's like watching someone repeatedly touch a hot stove and then express surprise that they got burned again. The contrast between stated relationship goals and actual partner selection is revealing. When Jessica claimed to value honesty and emotional availability, her dating history told a different story. Her partners typically showed early warning signs, consistently canceling plans last minute, avoiding discussions about the future, or keeping their dating profiles active months into the relationship. Yet she dismissed these behaviors as temporary or fixable. This inconsistency isn't usually deliberate deception. Most people genuinely believe they want healthy relationships. The problem is that our conscious desires often conflict with unconscious attractions. On a conscious level, a woman might want security and commitment, but unconsciously, she might be drawn to the familiar feelings of uncertainty and emotional intensity she experienced in childhood. If she grew up with unreliable caregivers, the anxiety of not knowing where she stands might feel more normal than steadiness. According to attachment theory researcher Dr. Amir Levine, About 50% of people have insecure attachment styles that can lead them to repeatedly seek familiar but ultimately unfulfilling relationship dynamics. The psychology behind choosing incompatible partners often stems from these unresolved attachment issues. We're drawn to what feels familiar, even when familiar doesn't feel good. A woman who grew up with an emotionally unavailable father might seek that same dynamic because it's a pattern her brain recognizes, attempting to resolve old wounds by recreating the situation with hopes for a different outcome. Another factor is misinterpreting emotional intensity as love. Many women mistake anxiety for attraction, confusing the physical symptoms of stress with genuine connection. They become addicted to the highs and lows rather than recognizing the quiet strength of consistent care. It's like choosing to live in a beautiful but structurally unsound house while rejecting a solid, well-built home as boring. You need to determine if you're truly her type or just a temporary deviation from her pattern. Several questions can help reveal this. Ask about her dating history, not just the facts but the patterns. What similarities have you noticed in your past relationships? Listen for self-awareness about repeated choices. If she can identify patterns like "I tend to choose men who need fixing," that shows awareness of her selection cycle. Another revealing question is, what ended your last few relationships? The answer tells you both what didn't work and what she's likely to repeat. If her relationships consistently end because partners suddenly became emotionally distant or commitment phobic, yet she can't recognize she was selecting for these traits from the beginning, she's caught in a pattern she hasn't addressed. Some women successfully break this cycle, while others perpetuate it indefinitely. The difference comes down to self-awareness and deliberate choice. I know a woman who recognized she kept choosing emotionally unavailable men because of her relationship with her father. She worked with a therapist, became more conscious of her attraction patterns, and deliberately chose to date men who showed consistent interest and emotional availability. Even when those relationships felt boring at first, she gave them a chance to develop. Eventually, her brain rewired to recognize healthy connection as attractive rather than anxiety-producing. How can you determine if you're part of a genuine change or just the next mistake in her pattern? First, notice where you fit in relation to her previous partners. If you're substantially different in character and behavior, that could indicate she's genuinely changing, or that she's temporarily trying something new out of frustration. The key is whether she values the differences or seems to be trying to change you to fit her familiar pattern. Second, watch how she responds to healthy relationship behaviors. If you're reliable, communicative, and emotionally available, does she seem comfortable and appreciative? Or does she create drama or seem disinterested? Sometimes women who are used to chaotic relationships will unconsciously sabotage healthy ones because the stability feels threatening or unfamiliar. Third, pay attention to her friends' reactions. Do they express surprise that she's with someone like you? Comments like "you're so different from her usual type" might indicate you're breaking her pattern in a positive way. To avoid becoming the next mistake in someone's pattern, look for evidence that she's done work to understand her selection cycle. Has she taken time between relationships to reflect? Can she articulate specific qualities she now recognizes as red flags? Without this level of self-awareness and intentional change, even the strongest attraction is likely to follow her established pattern of choosing partners who maintain the familiar emotional landscape of her past. Fantasy